Now what we're going to do is the mitigation technique and introduction. So, welcome to the mitigation technique practice lab. In this module, you will be provided with the instructions and devices needed to develop your hands-on skill. Mitigation techniques are used to secure the enterprise environment. Concepts such as segmentation, access control, patching, encryption, configuration, and hardening keep the network protected. This module focuses on access control, encryption, and monitoring through the process of hardening a network router. So, learning outcome. In this module, you will complete the following exercise. Exercise 1, configure router access, harden router access, and configure router logging. After completing this module, you should be able to review router configuration and create local credentials, configure SSH remote access, disable unused services, restrict router access, configure NTP, and configure and test logging. So exam objectives, the following exam objectives are covered in this module. Explain the purpose of mitigation techniques used to secure the enterprise. Access control, encryption, monitoring, configuration, enforcement, hardening techniques. Given a scenario, apply common security techniques to computing resource, which is hardening targets. Explain security alerting and monitoring concepts and tools, activities, and given a scenario, modify enterprise capabilities to enhance security firewall. So lab duration, it will take approximately 1 hour to complete this lab. So click next. So lab topology. During your session, you will have access to the following lab configuration. Depending on the exercise, you may or may not use all of the devices, but they are shown here in the layout to get an overall understanding of the topology of the lab. So NY Edge 1, NY Edge 2, NY 11, NY Core 1, NY Core 2, NY Core 1, and PLAB CSC 1001. So click next. So exercise 1, configure router access. So a router default configuration must change from installation to placement. On the production network, a router host name, security warning banners, configuration control, passwords, and secure remote access should be configured. In this exercise, you will begin by hardening a router and then configure secure remote access. So learning outcome. After completing this exercise, you should be able to review router configuration and create local credentials, configure SSH remote access. So your devices, you will be using the following devices in this lab. Please power this on now, NY Edge 1 and NY Edge 2. So task 1. Even in environment that use radius and TACAX plus, it is important to create local credentials. This provide fallback access to the devices if there are LAN communication or authentication server faults. Understanding the running config file will help an administrator know what configuration changes are necessary to secure a device. In this task, you will review the running config file and create local credentials on the router. The local credentials created will be used for SSH to log in since an AAA server is not configured in this lab. So connect to NY Edge 1. Once the device is booted, you will see the initial configuration dialog appear. So the boot process can take a while before the initial configuration dialog appears. So once the initial configuration dialog appear, type the following in the would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog. So no, enter. Then you will see the following output. So router, that's that. So connect to NY Edge 2. So the configuration dialog in the would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Yes or no prompt. So click no, then enter. So you will see the following output. router less than sign. So connect to NY Edge 1. In the console, enable the router by typing the following command. So enable, then you will see the following output. So here, so in the NY Edge 1 view, the running configuration file by typing the following command at each screen, press the spacebar to continue to the next screen. So show running dash config. Press enter. So you will see, or press the space bar to scroll through the result. You will see the following output. So the building configuration, something like that, redundancy interface, more, control plane. Note, observe a snapshot of how the device is currently configured and operating. This is the running configuration. A separate startup configuration is used at device startup, which transitions into running configuration file. For this reason, any changes made in the running configuration file need to be saved as the new startup configuration for the changes to be persistent. In this configuration file, a default hostname is present. There is no enable configuration control password, no AAA models configured, no local users configured, and no IP addresses are associated with the interfaces. Additionally, all methods of remote access are allowed to line VTY0 through 4. Finally, notice that the HTTP and HTTP services are disabled, so the router does not serve web-based page for device management and configuration through a web browser. Default password must be changed. In this case, it is important to note that no password are configured in the running config file. However, it is also important to understand that default passwords are readily available at websites such as cert.net/password, which drive the default password change requirement. So in the NY Edge one, set a new hostname by typing the following commands. Press enter. So configure terminal. Enter. So config hostname NY Edge 1. Enter. You will see the following output. Router underscore config terminal enter configuration commands one per line and with then step 6 ny edge config so banner motd percentage so enter the following in the terminal window. So once you enter the following in the ny edge exit, then ny edge config write memory, you will see the following output. Note, the banner will appear each time the device is connected to this will be tested in the next step. So step 7, type exit, press return to get started. Then you will see the following output. So here, and then in the NY Edge one again, type enable, then enter, then configure terminal, then enable secret Cisco, then enter, and you will see the following output. Then note, the enable command is used to access the privileged EXEC mode of the router. This mode provides full access to the router's configuration and management functions. Establishing a password to access this mode is a critical step in securing the router. Step 9, in the console, set password encryption and create a high privilege admin account. By typing the following command, press enter after each command. So service password dash encryption, then AAA new dash model, then username J dash admin, privilege 15 secret, and the password. Note, you will see the following output. So note, the service password encryption command applies to the router configuration as a whole and encrypts any plain text password in the configuration file. Passwords are encrypted with a type 7 encryption, which is not considered extremely secure. So sensitive passwords such as administrator credentials should be configured as a secret, which uses MD5 hashing and is considered stronger than type 7. The user JAdmin is assigned privilege level 15, which is the highest privilege level in the Cisco iOS CLI, and is sometimes referred as a privileged EXEC mode. It is equivalent to super user privilege. So leave the device in the current state and proceed to the next task. So configure SSH remote access. Secure Shell is used for remote access and is more secure than other protocols like Telnet and FTP. SSH provides security authentication, data integrity, access control, auditability, and cross-platform compatibility. In this task, you will configure SSH remote access in the NY Edge router. So connect the NY Edge and press enter, then type the following. So IP domain dash name space aciplab.com, then enter, then crypto key generate RSA, then enter, then 2048, enter, IPSSH version 2, enter, IPSSH timeout 60, then enter, IPSSH authentication dash retries to, enter, then line VTY 04, enter, then transport input SSH, then exit. So you will see the following output once you have typed everything. So note, SSH version 2 is configured over SSH version 1 for enhanced security, better encryption, key exchange improvements, message integrity, and interoperability. This provides better protection of data and stronger safeguard against attack. Line VTY 0 through 4 are configured to only accept SSH input, meaning that other remote access methods such as FTP and Telnet will no longer work. So in the step 2, in the console configure the IP address to NYEdge for testing the SSH remote. Access by typing the following commands. Press enter after each command. So NYEdge config hashtag. So interface gigabit Ethernet gigabit Ethernet 0/1. Enter IP address 192.168.0.99. Enter 225.225.225.0. Enter. Then no shutdown. Enter. Exit. Enter. So you will see the following output. Note, in order to communicate on the network, an NY Edge 1 interface require an IP address. The no shutdown command turns on the interface. So the NY Edge 2. So in the console for configure an IP address to NY Edge 2 for testing the SSH remote access by typing the following command. Press enter after each command. So enable, then configure terminal interface gigabit Ethernet 0/1, then IP address 192.168.0.100 space 225.225.225, no, 255, sorry. So 255.255.255.0, then enter. No shutdown. Exit, then exit. Then you will see the router, or you will see the following output. Step 4, in the console ping and then connect to NY Edge via SSH by typing the following commands. Press enter each command. So ping 192.168.0.99, then enter SSH -L J-admin 192.168.0.99, then password, then enable, then Cisco, then exit. So you will see the following output. So note, SSH is used to log into NY Edge 1 from NY Edge 2. The -L switch used with the SSH command specifies the login's username to be used at a remote host. Once the connection has been made, an NY Edge 1 prompt appears on the NY Edge 2 CLI, indicating the connection is established. The privileged AXEC mode is entered from NY Edge 2. So click next. So exercise 2, harden router access. Disabling unused services and connection points is essential to security. It reduces the device's attack surface, simplifies the configuration, improves the device's stability, and can ensure compliance with enforced regulations. An access control list or ACL can be used to control types of communication to and from the device. In this exercise, you will disable unused router services and connections. You will then apply an ACL to specify a specific interface in a specific direction. So learning outcomes. After completing this exercise, you should be able to disable unused service, restrict router access. So your devices, you will be using the following devices in this lab. Please power this on now. NY Edge 1 and NY Edge 2. So task 1, disable unused service. So disabling unused services is a fundamental security practice that helps protect the network and devices by reducing the attack surface, conserving resources, and simplifying management. In this task, disable unused services on the NY Edge 1 router. So connect to NY Edge 1. In this console, disable unused services by tapping the following command. Press enter after each command. So no service DHCP, then no service pad, then no CDP run, no IP boot P server, no IP domain slash dash lookup, no IP finger, no IP source dash route. So you will see the following output. So note, the NY Edge 1 router will not be used as a DHCP server. So this service is disabled. The service pad command is used to enable remote administration of the router through a modem or auxiliary port. This service has been deprecated and is not needed on the NY Edge router. The Cisco Discovery Protocol or CDP enables Cisco devices to discover and identify other Cisco devices directly connected to them. On the same network segment, it is not required for this network configuration. The IP boot P server is a service that provides configuration information such as IP address and other parameters. When devices first connect to the network, it is not required for the NYH1 router. IP domain lookup conducts host name resolution in the CLI environment. Disabling this service can help avoid DNS lookups for invalid or irrelevant commands that are interpreted as resembling a domain name. The finger command is used to query information about users on a remote system. It is not required for the NY-Edge1 router. Source routing enables the sender of an IP packet to specify the route the packet should take through the network. This is considered a security risk and disabled on the NY-Edge1 router. So task 2. Restrict router access. Closing or disabling unnecessary interface is a common security practice to reduce the attack surface and prevent misuse. The line 0 console port is typically a serial or USB port used for direct physical access to the router. The auxiliary port 0 is typically used for remote dial-in access, which is a deprecated practice. Closing these ports minimizes the risk of an unauthorized router access. Using the ACL to restrict remote router access ensures controlled access defense against unauthorized use, protection from port scanning, and prevention of DOS attacks, and is part of a defense in-depth strategy. In this task, you will restrict router access by disabling unnecessary interfaces and creating an ACL to allow only Edge 2 SSH access to NY Edge 1. So connect to NY Edge 1 in the console, disable line con 0 by typing the following commands. Press enter after each command. So line con 0, enter, no password, no exec, exit. So you will see the following input. No password and no exec command clear any configured passwords and disable command execution when accessing the console or auxiliary port. So in the console, disable line aux0 by typing the following commands. Press enter after each command. So line aux0, no password, no exec exit. So you will see the following output, which is here. Step 3 in the console configure on ACL that allows only NY Edge 2 to connect to NY Edge 1 via SSH and allows pings from any device by typing the following command. Press enter. So step 3, the NY Edge config. So type the following and then press enter after each command. So access dash list 101 permit TCP host 192.168.0.100 host 1 192.168.0.99 EQ 22. So accept list 101 deny TCP any AQ22 access list 101 permit IC MP any. So you will see the following output. Note, the extended ACL format used here defines the access list number 101, whether to permit or deny traffic. The protocol of the traffic applied by the ACL, the source. So the source host, IP address, the destination host, IP address, and the port number EQ, which the ACL rules apply. So in the console configure the access list 810.100.101 ACL to the gigabyte Ethernet 00 interface in the inward direction by typing the following command press. So in the interface gigabit Ethernet 01, then click enter and IP access group 101 in exit, then show access list. So you will see the following output. So note, the IP access group command binds the ACL to a specific interface, in this case the gigabit Ethernet 01 or 00 interface in the inward direction, so the traffic inbound to the router is affected by the ACL. ACL rules are applied in order: Rule 10, then Rule 20, then Rule 30 as traffic is received. So exercise 3, configure router logging. So logging is an important aspect of network management, enabling audio auditability and accountability. Logging can also help identify network events and secure incidents, and is used to assess the overall health of the network. In this exercise, you will configure a log buffer on NYH1 and test it. So after completing this exercise, you should be able to configure NTP and configure and test logging. So your devices, you will be using the following devices in this lab. Please power this on now. So NYH1 and NYH2. So task 1, configure NTP. Configuring the network time protocol or NTP on the router enables a synchronized network time to be maintained on the devices and is used by logging, authentication, authorization, ACL, and event correlation services. In this task, you will configure the NTP server on the NY Edge. So connect to NY Edge. The console configure the test NTP by typing the following command, then press enter. So in the console configure, so configure terminal NTP server 1.132.163.96.44, exit, and then show NTP association. So you will see the following output. So note, IP addresses of internet time servers can be found at websites such as leave the devices in their current network, current state, and proceed to the next task. So configure test logging. The logging buffer can be configured to retain logs of various severities and can be configured to include a maximum size. Once NTP is configured on the device, it is important to ensure the logs capture an accurate time. This can assist in forensic investigation and event correlation. In an enterprise network, a log collector such as a syslog server or SIEM would be configured as a repository of device logs for analysis and investigation. In this task, you will configure a local log buffer and test the ability of devices to generate logs. So step 1, connect to NY Edge 1. So in the console, configure and test NTP by typing the following commands. Press enter after each command. So configure terminal, logging buffered informational, logging buffered 6400, then service time stops, debug, datetime, msec, show time zone, local time, then enter, then service time stops log, datetime, msec, show time zone, local time, then enter, then end, enter, send log test from nyedge1. So you will see the following output. The logging buffered command is used to configure the severity level of locally stored logs and the size of the log buffer. So connect to nyedge2. So in the console, attempt to log in via SSH and set a log test by typing the following commands. Press enter. So enable SSH-LG admin 192.168.099. Password enable Cisco send log test from nyedge2, then exit. So you will see the following output. So connect to nyedge1 again. The console, view the log buffer and examine the configuration by typing the following commands. Press enter. So nyedge1 show log, show running config, copy running config, startup config, then enter. So you will see the following output. So that's gonna be long output. So note, observe the difference in the log entries from nyedge1 and nyedge2. Compare the running config file to the running config file in exercise 1 prior to the configuration modification. Keep all devices that you have powered on in their current state and proceed to the review section. So review. Well done. You have completed the medication technique practice lab. So, in this lab, the focuses on access control, encryption, and monitoring was conducted through the process of hardening a network router. So, summary, you completed the following exercises. Exercise 1, configure router access. Exercise 2, harden router access. And exercise 3, configure router logging. You should now be able to review router configuration and create local credentials, configure SSH remote access, disable unused services, restrict router access, configure NTP, and lastly, configure and test logging. So feedback, submit, shut down all the virtual machines used in this lab. Alternatively, you can log out of the lab platform. So yeah, finished.